everyone, in today's video I'll show you how to crochet this scrap yarn tote bag. I hope you will enjoy this video. If you do, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and let's get into it. And to make this tote bag I will be using various scrap yarn that I have. It's mainly 100% acrylic and in weight double knit, but I will be doubling the yarn, meaning I will be using 2 strands at a time. Then you will need 6mm hook, needle, and 4 stitch markers. And you not necessarily need to use scrap yarn. You can even make this in solid color or use any yarn that you have. So it's either chunky or doubled double knit together with 6mm. Now starting off with the main tote bag body, you want to grab your yarn, make a slip knot, which you can do by making this loop and then grabbing your tail through. Put your hook in and chain 75. And once you've got your chain of 75 done, this is how it will look. Now starting into the second chain here, so skip the first one and go into this, you want to make a yarn over slip stitch. So to do this, you want to yarn over, go into that second chain, pull up a loop, you will have 3 on your hook, as you can see here, and what you want to do is to do a slip stitch with the first loop through the remaining 2, just like this. So it's like a slip stitch, but there is an extra yarn over. Once again, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and do a slip stitch. So you hold this front and go through the 2 on your hook. And you want to do 8 yarn over slip stitches in total. So that's my third one. Now in the next stitches you want to work half double crochet, and you will do this until you have 8 stitches left. So it's like the yarn over slip stitch, but then you yarn over and pull through all 3. Yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all. And repeat this half double crochet until you have 8 chains left. And when you come to the last 8 chains, you want to do 8 yarn over slip stitches. So you yarn over, go into your next stitch, pull up a loop and do a slip stitch. And repeat this till the end of your chain. And once you do your 8 yarn over slip stitches, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and you will always be doing yarn over slip stitches in the first 8 stitches as well as the last 8, but from row 2 is gonna be into the back loop only. So instead of working through those 2 loops like you would normally do, just work into the back one. So you want to yarn over, go into that back loop, pull up a loop, and complete that yarn over slip stitch, and repeat until you have 8 stitches in total. And that's my 8th one. Now into the half double crochets, we now be doing half double crochet into the 3rd loop. So this is your 2 loops that you would normally go into, this front and back, but this time you want to work into this loop here. So it's the one below your normal one. So yarn over, go into that 3rd loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And repeat doing those half double crochets, 3rd loop only, until you have 8 stitches left. And this is where one of my scrap yarn ends, so I'm going to show you how to change color. You want to do your stitch, don't pull through the last 3 loops, cut your yarn off, leaving a bit of a tail, and grab your new color. Put that around your hook and pull through those 3 loops. If you don't want to hide your tails later on, you can carry them in, and you can do this by doing your stitch like you would normally do and keep your tails on top of your hook. So this way you work your tails under the stitches and you don't have to hide them later in. And it's not entirely visible, but I'm going into that 3rd loop, as you can see here. Then I'm having those tails on top and completing my half double crochet. If you don't want to carry them in, or if it's a bit too difficult, you can leave them hanging where you change your stitch and then simply hide them in later on using a needle. I now dropped 2 strands and I'm continuing with the other 2, just not to make it too bulky, in one spot. And once I think it's okay, I'm gonna drop it off and just continue with my stitches till I have 8 left at this end here. And when you come to the last 8 stitches, you will do a yarn over slip stitch into the back loop, total of 8 times, and your back loop once again is this one on the other side. Just doing my last yarn over slip stitch at the end of your row 2, chain 1 and turn. And this is how it will look. As you can see, where we are doing yarn over slip stitches, it turns out to be a bit lower than the half double crochets, and that's what we want. And from now on, you will repeat row 2 another 28 times until you have 30 rows in total. So where you have 8 yarn over slip stitches, you always go into the back loop, then do half double crochets in the 3rd loop only until you come to the last 8 stitches, and do another 8 yarn over slip stitches into the back loop only. So I'm gonna do that and I will meet you at the end. And once you finish your 30 rows for the main panel, this is how it will look. So there's your beginning and the end looking exactly the same. Now you want to set this aside and do a handle. Now for the handle, you want to grab your yarn, make a slip knot, put your hook in, and you will need to chain 151 or any other amount of chains depending how long you want your handle to be. So yeah, I'm just gonna chain 151. And I just did my chain of 151. Once you've got yours, you want to skip the very first one and go into the second one with half double crochet. So yarn over, go into the second chain, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. And repeat doing half double crochets in all chains. So I'm just gonna continue making those half double crochets and I will meet you at the end of my chain. And when you come to an end of your first row, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and from now on we will only be working a half double crochet into the 3rd loop. So once again, you can see that these are your back and front loops, those weaves that you can see here, and you want to work your stitch into this 3rd loop instead. So you leave the one here and you go into this bottom one. I hope this makes sense. The first one can be quite tricky to go in, but you want to yarn over, go into that 3rd loop, pull up a loop, and complete your half double crochet. Then again, and keep doing this half double crochet into the 3rd loop only in all of your stitches till the end of your row. And if you turn your work, you can see that those both front and back loops are pushed forward. So yeah, work your half double crochets into the 3rd loop. You can change color at any point, either when you run out of your scrap yarn or when you feel like you want to change color. I'm gonna do my stitches up until that point, and I will come back to show you how to do that one more time. So this is where I'm going to change my color. So I'm going to go with the half double crochet into that 3rd loop, pull up a loop, and don't pull through. You can now cut this old color off, grab a new one, put that around your hook, and pull through those 3 loops. Tighten it up and go with the half double crochet into your next stitch, 3rd loop. And if you want to carry the tails under your stitches, you need to keep your tails on the hook, just like this. So then you don't need to hide them later on. But yeah, you yarn over, go into the next stitch, keep your tails on top of the hook, and complete your half double crochet. And just like that, work your stitches until you then want to change color again. But basically you will repeat doing those half double crochets in the 3rd loop until the end of your row. At the end of your row 2, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and you will now need to repeat row 2 another 4 times so that you have 6 rows in total for your handle. And you will just be repeating that half double crochet into the 3rd loop for another 4 rows. So I'm gonna do that, and I will meet you at the end. And your 6 rows of handle will look like this. So it's quite long. I'm not gonna be able to fit it all in here, but yeah, it's just 6 rows of half double crochets into the 3rd loop. And now we will need to join the main panel and handles together. Now you want to grab your main panel, and from either of the sides, either this or this, you want to count 32 stitches, mark the 33rd one, then count 10, and you will have left with the 32 stitches on the other side. So when you fold, you have middle 10 stitches here, which will be for our handle. And now you want to grab your handle, have it right side down so that these are the wrong sides, and attach your handle to the stitch markers that you marked, just like so. So the short part of the handle is gonna be 10 stitches long. You will have 32 to the other side and 32 to another one. Then you want to fold it just like so and attach the top of the handle to this main body. Then you want to fold your handle to the other side together with the bag, and make sure that you do join it with the same stitch. So just exactly the same as this one here, and join to the very first stitch here. So if it makes sense, you first join the short side with the 10 stitches, then you fold it and attach it with stitch markers just to hold it in place, making sure that it's symmetrical, and then we will sew it together with a needle. Now you want to grab a needle and some yarn. I'm gonna do this with gray because I've got gray on this side as well as this one, but I could also do it with the blue or green. But yeah, you want to find your very first stitch, insert your needle, and pull that yarn until you have a bit of a tail left, just like so. And now you will need to go into all of these stitches. I'm going all loops in, so front and back for both of them. And I'm just going from one side to the other, just like so. And I will be doing this all around, so along this side, the short one, and other one as well, just to sew it together. And when you come to an end, you will need to hide the tail in. You can take all the stitch markers out, and I'm hiding it just into the row of that gray. I'm gonna go a couple of rows one way, then back the other, making sure it's extra secure. You will then need to repeat the same for the other side. But yeah, once you've hidden your tail, you can cut it off, and I'm gonna show you how it looks all joined. So this is the right side that I'm showing, and it should look something like this. That's your handle, and that's the bottom of it. Now you want to fold it back into the wrong side. Grab your handle, making sure it's not twisted here, and then we will repeat the same exact thing. So you want to count 32 stitches, mark that 33rd stitch with this corner, count 10, and then you should have 32 stitches left. So repeat the same thing, and I will meet you at the end. And once you finish joining both of the sides, this is how it will look. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you in my next one.